Number 5. I know people are probably not going to like seeing this one topping things like The Avengers and Argo, but honestly, I can't help myself. Ted made me laugh harder than any movie this year, and any movie in at least the last couple of years. Actually, if my friends are watching, they'll probably be shocked this isn't higher, because I have not been able to shut up about this movie all year. It's definitely one of my most frequently quoted movies in a long time. And honestly, why wouldn't it be? Seth MacFarlane brings not only his signature comedic style, but also his signature heartwarming quality to this movie. If you liked the earlier seasons of Family Guy, this is a movie for you. It has a passion and a comedic caliber not seen in Family Guy in quite a few years. But even without the Family Guy comparisons, this is just a feel-good movie. This is the movie you sit down, watch with friends in your living room, and point to people in the room going, "Oh, that's totally you," because it really is that relatable. I do appreciate that even though the movie is called Ted, and the marketing is very much centered around him, the main focus really is Mark Wahlberg's character, John. Here's a man who's at a pivotal point in his life and has to dig deep in order to let go of his childish tendencies and become a functioning adult. Ted really is an intriguing character in his own right, though, and delivers some of the most memorable lines of the year. This is just a gut-busting comedy about friendship and love and smoking weed with teddy bears that is endearing to no end and left me in tears from laughing so hard. I love this movie, and I don't think I'll stop quoting it anytime soon. Number 4. Quentin Tarantino made a spaghetti western this year. Do I really have to elaborate on that concept? Django Unchained is 2 hours and 45 minutes of Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz being old western badasses. Now, this movie came out at Christmas, so I'm guessing a lot of people either haven't seen it or are just getting around to seeing it. But I promise you, this is going to be one of the best times you'll have at a theater with a 2012 movie. I can say that almost universally because I can see this movie appealing to a lot of different audiences. It's funny, it's dark, it's gruesome, it's sympathetic, it's got plenty of action, and I do mean plenty. It's just all around a great piece of cinema. Jamie Foxx plays the role of a freed slave with a thirst for vengeance perfectly. Christoph Waltz gives one of the best supporting performances of the year, and I sincerely hope that shows comes time for awards. Leonardo DiCaprio is fantastic as the villain. Or is that Samuel L. Jackson? They kind of swap roles as villain at one point, so it's a little confusing, but either way, they're both spectacular. And, by the way, that villain swapping thing, it's confusing, yes, but in a good way, as in, there's no ultimately defined villain. It's just whoever you think is more sinister and who did more bad stuff, which is awesome. But overall, this is yet another one to add to the ever-growing list of Tarantino's great pieces of work. Like Pulp Fiction and Inglourious Basterds before it, Django Unchained is just pure entertainment from start to finish and a really well-done piece of film. Number 3. Joseph Gordon-Levitt ended up getting a lot of exposure this year, and even though he was good in The Dark Knight Rises, I'd say he's gotten no better form of exposure than Looper. Looper is a fascinating look into the concept of time travel, in that it's not viewed in the glorious light it usually is, but rather in a way that shows it as a problem and a danger to upstanding civilization. It's a multi-layered story that just gets more and more interesting the more the movie progresses. Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis do an extremely fine job of making the audience believe they are the same person. At no point are you left thinking these two are separate. From their very first exchange of dialogue, you are sold, and I love how the movie takes advantage of that. Despite the fact that they have opposing goals in the movie, you understand that they are the same person, and when you get down to it, they're both coming from the same place with their motivations. This causes you to sympathize for both of them simultaneously, and it also creates a weird atmosphere where they're both technically the hero in their own right, but they're also each other's villain. The movie doesn't really tell you who to root for. It leaves it up to you to decide which one is more justified and which one deserves to come out on top. That's a really cool concept, and it made for an extremely enthralling movie-going experience. Number 2. Yet another movie that probably hasn't been seen very much as of yet. Tom Hooper's Les Misérables is the only movie of this past year that I could possibly justify calling beautiful. From the first sweeping shot of this film, my eyes were glued to the screen. The acting was beautiful, the cinematography was beautiful, the music was beautiful. I know people are going to disagree, but I'm a huge sucker for musicals, and Les Misérables is at the top of the list. Hugh Jackman does one very impressive Jean Valjean. Anne Hathaway, although not in the movie very long, is still spectacular in both acting and singing, including one show-stealing moment that easily propelled her over the top as the best performer in the movie. Those of you who have seen the movie, you should know exactly which moment I'm talking about. The moment where the camera doesn't cut from her for like 3 minutes. That is impressive. Heck, even Sacha Baron Cohen does a commendable job, and I usually can't stand him, but he actually holds his own in this one. A big problem people seem to have with this movie is Russell Crowe. Honestly, I don't see the big deal. Is he a great singer? No, absolutely not. Does he serve his purpose well, though? Absolutely he does, as does everybody. Everyone feels necessary in this movie, and not one moment is wasted. Clocking in at just under 2.5 hours, it flies by in a millisecond. Musical nuts are going to go crazy over this one. If you're not a fan of musicals, I would have to urge you to stay away, though. This is not a film meant for the average moviegoer. 99% of the dialogue is in song, and if musicals aren't your thing, you'll probably find that at least somewhat annoying and off-putting. But if you're able to stomach it, you're left with a truly special piece of film, which was the closest I came this year to crying in a movie theater. It's that good, it's that captivating, and as I said before, it's that beautiful. Now, you're probably wondering, if Les Misérables got me that choked up, what could possibly top that? Well, if this were a list of what I thought were technically the best movies of the year, Les Misérables would easily be my number one. I'm not going to dispute the fact that it is absolutely technically superior to my number one film, but this is a list of personal favorites, and I happen to see one movie in 2012 that entertained me just a little bit more than this one. Number 1. My number 1 is another movie like Chronicle that just seemed to drop off the radar immediately after its release, only this time it angers me a lot more, because I really do not think this movie was given nearly the amount of credit it deserves. Or it could just be that no one enjoyed it quite as much as I did. It's probably the latter, but let me just say this. All you have to say is that Sam Rockwell, Woody Harrelson, and Christopher Walken are doing a movie together, and you already have me by the reins. Throw in superb writing, one of the most original stories of the year, and comedic skill largely unmatched by anything else, and you get 7 Psychopaths, my favorite movie of 2012. Now, if you haven't heard of this movie, I understand, because like I said, everyone just seemed to kind of instantly forget about this movie right after it came out, which is a concept I just can't bring myself to understand. This movie has a dream cast, first of all. Sam Rockwell is cast perfectly, Woody Harrelson is cast perfectly, Christopher Walken is back doing a frickin' Christopher Walken role and kicking all different kinds of ass doing it. Colin Farrell is fantastic, the supporting cast is unbelievable. Then you get into the story. This is such an outrageous and ridiculous story, and yet they pull it off with absolutely expert skill. I mean, you have a story involving Colin Farrell, who's a struggling screenwriter, and Sam Rockwell, his slightly lunatic friend who steals dogs with Christopher Walken, just so they can return them and claim the reward. They end up stealing a dog that belongs to a crime boss played by Woody Harrelson, which sends them off on a chase across the desert, where Sam Rockwell reveals he's actually completely nuts, as is Christopher Walken, leaving Colin Farrell witness to a showdown between 3 complete lunatics. Dude, where is my ticket? The comedic gags in this movie are right on cue, and the comedic payoffs are perfect. This movie hit every single note of what makes a great, entertaining flick for me. It just feels so flawless, so complete. Now, I understand that's a subjective view, and I don't expect everybody to share my love of it, but if you haven't heard of it and you're looking for a great piece of crazy fun entertainment, check it out. Odds are you'll find something to love in this movie. So, that is my list of my top 10 favorite movies of 2012. I hope you liked it, and I cannot wait to see what 2013 brings to the big screen. I'll tell you right now, I am as hyped as can be for this upcoming year, and I hope you are too, because I believe strongly that it's going to be a good one. So, I'll be back with movie reviews very soon, and until next time, this is Capn Sammich signing off. At no point are you left thinking these two are separate. From their very exchange... Yeah.